Real, rebellious, raw. That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley's cute little slogan for the big move, Monday Night Raw to Netflix. They have a new logo, and that's their new slogan. Real, rebellious, raw. And Hunter is the star of the show, right? The whole advertisement, it's all cinematic. Hunter is rolling up in the limo or town car, whatever it is. He gets out, walks slowly into Stanford's headquarters, comes across this dark lit sign. It lights up. It's the new logo, and he welcomes us to Netflix. Right, a spot, an advertisement that could have been better suited to have the spotlight on one of his superstars. What a crazy concept. Maybe have Cody Rhodes do that, since he should be the face of the company, but for some reason it's Hunter Hearst Helmsley always. What about LA Knight? He could have used that promotional. He could have done that ad, especially after dropping the IC championship. That could have gave him some shine, much needed shine. What about CM Punk? The word rebellious is in the slogan. Maybe CM Punk is better suited. No, Hunter had to be the one to do it. Just like every single time we have to do an advertisement for a PLE, especially outside the US, or if a show is moving from Fox to the USA Network or from USA to Netflix, we always have to hear the stupid, "Are you ready?" We don't need to always see a Hunter Hearst Helmsley. All of this takes away from the time you should be putting into creativity, giving us the best possible product imaginable. But instead of caring about the creative, Hunter wants to do all of this filming for promotional. He wants to do the kickoff shows like we're going to have, tomorrow, the kickoff to Netflix. And who did they say last night? What was the first name they said was going to be the big star that's going to be at this kickoff? It wasn't Cody, Punk, nobody. It was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, they said, right? The chief creative officer. Why does the casual fan, why does that kid that's buying the tickets or dragging their family out, their parents, why do they care about the chief content creative officer? They don't. This is Hunter to stroke his ego. They know the bread and butter. What's making them money is the damn kids dragging their families out. Nobody cares about the dude from 15, 20 years ago. Sad to say, I love the Attitude Era. Big cerebral assassin Triple H fan, by the way. Did the water spritzing, but in 2024, take a back seat. Sit down at Gorilla, put on the headset, shut up. Every Monday night and Friday night, let the boys do what they're going to do and the gals kick ass the way the gals kick ass. But put the spotlight on them. It's always about Hunter. Hunter is the main face to promote all of this. We ripped Tony Khan when he was doing it with AEW. Keep the same energy when it's HHH. I don't know how many more times we need to hear, "Are you ready?" And see this dude schnoz every time we're trying to promote something. That's what your wrestlers are for. Real, rebellious, raw. This is what we're going to have to hear on a loop, nonstop, as we go into Netflix. Well, we could tell the truth and just call Raw what it really is, right? I could save Hunter all the creative time on this new slogan. Random, redundant rematches. Because isn't that what Raw truly is under Hunter Hearst Helmsley? Randomness at an all-time high, redundancy at an all-time high, and rematches nonstop. We got the same thing last night. Nothing but rematches. Even your main event when we crown new champions out of nowhere. On a regular show, not a PLE, because why would we put any effort into the tag team division? We'll just have the titles change hands all the time and on regular shows, right? So if, in this cold open teaser, so little happened on this show, but I have so much to talk about, so I'm just going to save it for the actual review itself. This is the amped up show for the 17th of December, 2024, and it is featuring the Raw review for the 16th of December. And it's Monday night we're talking about. You know what that means. You can take your thinking caps and toss them. Because no matter how hard you try to think about this show and make it make sense, you're not going to be able to. It doesn't make sense. It is random. I don't know how many times you need to see pull them apart brawls before it finally just becomes the opposite of interesting. The opposite of fun. Pull them apart brawls. Just do that 4 or 5 times a show and they'll say my show is epic and I'm uber creative. And every single time HHH does this BS, redundant, lame, mid-AF, below average booking. We swipe it underneath the rug. We don't call it out. We just wait for a glimmer of something good and we go, wow, H is cooking. No, we're about to. Whatever you gotta do, put on your aprons, put your hair in a net, extra wash those hands double time, whatever you gotta do, get it done, because we're about to cook. It's the Amped Up Show. We're featuring Monday Night Raw's review. That's all I got to say in the cold open. It's a one-page show. You guys that follow this channel, you know what that means. One page. And that's the problem with taped shows, which they did for next week. We're going to talk all about it. It's coming up. We're getting amped up. It's 44 dive time. We live. We're rolling. Let's get it. Time to really cook. So I can't stand tape shows. You guys know that. They're lifeless. I mean, at least back in the day, they would try to make them interesting, right? So if you got the spoilers, you'd still kind of would have to tune in or would want to. Like when Mick Foley won the championship. And I remember Eric Bischoff, live on air of Nitro, had Tony Schiavone actually say the results. And he said, Mick Foley's going to win their championship. That should put a lot of butts in seats. And it did. From that night on, WWE RAW actually started beating Nitro in the ratings. But that was taped. We already knew the spoilers, but we kind of actually wanted to see that. These days, you're not getting that. You read these spoilers, you hear them, and you're like, all right, I have to make it an appointment not to watch that show. Lifeless. They have no pulse, these tape shows. But now what we're seeing is Hunter Hearst Helmsley doesn't know how to balance them at all. And what I mean by that is even the live shows now are affected by the tape show. So they taped this show for next week in Boston after Raw went off the air, a little bit before, a little bit after. And because they're doing that, the balance was out of whack last night. This is a true statement I'm about to deliver to you guys, man. And I realized this in real time, so I put it in my notes. And if you didn't watch the show, you're going to go, nah, no way, dude. If you did watch the show, you're going to go, nope, that's pretty accurate, BC. Good call. Hour number one produced Punk and Rollins, their segment, and then just a Braun Breaker, Ludwig Kaiser heel versus heel match, which they're clearly trying to make Braun even more than a tweener now, right? See if they can really work him as a face. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. We'll get to that. That was the first hour. Just a Punk Rollins promo segment and pull him apart brawl. And then a matchup between Braun and Ludwig that had everybody, for the most part, sitting on their thumbs the entire time. That was it. The rest of hour one was just filler. Because Hunter's like, I want to save a lot of the talent for next week, so we'll put him in some backstage stuff. We'll keep some people off. We'll drag this out. And at the end of the show, we'll deliver new champions, and that'll shut everybody up. Everybody will be talking about how awesome it is for the War Raiders. The damn Vikings finally got titles. And they'll forget that the rest of the show was basically filler. But that's what happened, guys. The first hour, when you talk nothing of substance, guys, that's all we're about to talk about in hour one. Rollins and Punk, and then Braun Breaker, Ludwig, and then a ton of filler. And hour two, you have Butch trying to rekindle this stupid thing with R-Truth. Butch, R-Truth, and Zoey Stark are your stars of hour two before we get to the title match. That's what I mean. I'm not BSing you guys. I won't BS or sugarcoat it to my audience. You're always going to get amplified truth. And I know most of you guys love that about this channel, about BC, and that's what makes you proud to be a part of this unit, is that we don't BS, and we do call it out, and we love talking about the positive. We just wish there was more of it to talk about. We don't just nitpick. We just not negative just to hear ourselves talk. We don't play Monday morning quarterback just to rip the shows apart just because that's what we feel like doing. We want it to be the best they possibly can be, these shows. These wrestlers, their trajectory character-wise, the creative. We want to put it all on a pedestal. That's the mission statement of this channel. Make this great. Again. But they have to meet us halfway, man. A show like last night is not going to do it. If you liked the show last night, much love and respect. That's not what this channel is about. It's about if it was good or not. What does it do for the wrestlers and their trajectory? What does it do for the segments, the stories, and the show going forward? And the company in totality. That's why this channel is different than any other. We dissect it to a T because we want it to affect everything in a positive way. How's that? How's that for straight up honesty? And if these shows cannot produce in a good way, then unfortunately, this is what we have to do in these reviews. We have to be honest and absolutely shred it. Because hour 1 was ridiculous, man. That creatively, that's what you came up with? And your hour 2 was maybe even worse? And then you were hoping that at the very end, if you switch championships, because we took this fucking tag team, we gave them their old name back, and we're going to try to rekindle something from 6 years ago. And hopefully everybody will go, whoa, new champions, man. They tried this with Motor City. They just arrived. They threw titles on them, thinking that was going to be the rocket push. Nobody cared. A few matches later, people are still sitting on their thumbs, and they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have put the titles on them that quick. So now War Raiders just come back. They have a cup of coffee in the company, 3 or 4 matches tops, and then they chuck them into a championship match and have them win the titles. How about build them first? Why would you not build the War Raiders? Make everybody care about them again. The casuals and the kids actually care about them for the first time, and then put them in an awesome storyline that culminates with them winning championships. Nah, let's bring them back, change their names instantly, let them have 2 or 3 matchups, and then put them in the title match and have them win. That'll make everybody go, wow, they're winners, let's support them. BC's dropping facts, man. Sit back, Max, relax while BC drops the facts today, dude, because this amped up is amped up. Man, are we rocking, dude. Most times, guys, BC drops so much factual information, right? Like, the things that I say make so much sense and are so factual that I'm hoping that people can comprehend it, because we're so trained to accept the BS. We're so trained to look past all the BS and just go, damn, man, Hunter's cooking. WWE is doing best business of all time. That must mean the product is the best of all time. No, revenue and creativity. Revenue and the actual product are 2 different things, guys. I hope you know that. The way WWE is making their revenue is not because the shows are the best they've ever been. I hope you understand there's a massive difference between that. Numbers will tell you that. Numbers will tell you about the product. Revenue stats are totally different. Revenue stats, they know where their money's coming from. And that business is booming. So that forces them not to even have to change their creative. But you're starting to see more and more shows not being sellouts. Remember for a while, the shows are selling out left and right. No, the shows aren't selling out anymore. The numbers are dropping lower and lower in the ratings. Merchandise sales. People don't even think the merch is cool anymore. And I'm talking about the kids dragging their families out. Why are merchandise sales so low? Rock told us wrestling was cool again. Cody told us this is the best era of all time. Triple H told us this era is better than the Attitude Era. Why aren't the numbers backing up? And why don't I feel like this is a special show to watch? Why don't I feel like it's appointment television? Why don't I feel like it's must-see TV? Why don't I have any feelings when I'm watching this damn show? It's because it's not as good as it should be. It's not even good. Let's talk about it. I basically gave you a cold open after the cold open, but that's what I mean. I got a lot to say. It's a 1-pager, so there's nothing to really talk about, but I have a lot to talk about. So let's talk about that jam-packed first hour with 2 real segments. CM Punk starts this show. Rollins intro. First of all, what am I saying, man? Mark Chisholm, dude. I appreciate you big time. I don't think I caught that super chat in yesterday's live stream. So, Mark, if that is the case, thank you, dude. I appreciate you big time, and they are indeed doing Rollins Punk at January 6th Netflix debut of Raw. So that's what we expected too. But Mark, there's no way I could go another moment forward without thanking you for those coffees. We did a live stream yesterday, literally out of nowhere. Like an RKO, we just went live. No moment's notice. Not even BC. I wasn't even prepared. I thought it was uploading for a few minutes later. We just went live. But we ended up having an awesome time. Over an hour. My unit represented. It was a really fun live stream. I thank you guys, man. That was so much fun. We'll do it again soon. But Mark, I don't think I got your super chat. If that's the case, thank you, dude. I appreciate the coffees, and you are correct. Rollins and Punk. It was good seeing you up in there. I caught that after the fact, but I was like, oh no, man. Did I give Mark his proper shout out? All right. Monday Night Raw, 12/16/24. CM Punk starts this show. Rollins interrupts in the crowd. They both agreed to meet in the middle and throw fists. So the middle for them was basically the barricade, right? Punk just went over it maybe, but they met at the barricade. So what Rollins is doing in the crowd, I have no idea. I mean, this is Hunter going, what if we get creative? What if you come through the crowd? What was he doing? Getting popcorn in section 303? Did Becky Lynch? Becky's eating lunch. I'm having a little lunch. Did Becky Lynch drop some of her wardrobe up in section 215 and Seth is trying to find it, right? Where are those damn pantyhose? What is Seth doing up there? Just come, dude, what do you, just come through the, this is so weird. That's creative, I guess. So they end up meeting and throwing fists, and then it's a pull them apart brawl. Here come the refs, here come the suits and ties. And Joe Tessitore goes, and that's how we start the show. It's supposed to be like, you know what I mean? Like anything can happen. This is a chaotic show. You might want to put the remote down. And to which BC responded, duh. How did you think it was going to start? This is all Hunter does. Pull them apart brawls. There's no creativity involved. This dude parades around calling himself the chief creative officer. I'm expecting a badge, a nightstick, salute. He's an officer of creativity. And all we see is pull them apart brawls, man. How many times do we have to see these damn brawls? We get it. You're creating a chaotic situation. Man, these shows are so good. No, man, it's the wrong channel if you think I'm just going to let that breeze by 3 times a show. Pull them apart brawls. Hunter does one thing, and then he plays it on a loop for months later. That's what we got, a pull them apart brawl. And what? Am I honestly, am I expected to come onto this review when this camera goes on and this mic is lit up and I'm supposed to go what? Goo goo and gaga over the segment? Oh my God, Punk and Rollins, the segment was amazing, but no, it wasn't. Seth is looking for pantyhose in section 215 that Becky dropped. He's not going to give them back to Becky. He just wants to throw them on, right? Whatever Becky just got for her closet from Victoria's Secret, he's going to throw it on. But he's up there in the stands for some reason. They meet at the barricade. They start throwing bows. It's a pull-em-apart brawl. And BC is supposed to talk about how epic World Wrestling Entertainment is last night with Seth Rollins and Punk. No, it was not. This is a real review. This review is real, rebellious. It's raw. It's a real, rebellious, raw review. That's what you're getting right now. That's what you're getting. So that's full with jam-packed honesty. The segment is not creative at all. It didn't get me excited to see Rollins and Punk, which is a match I'm really, or at least was, really looking forward to. They're going to blow their load on January 6th Netflix when they have all these other big matchups, so I don't even know if this is going to be done properly. I think Hunter has already gave up on it, to be honest with you. A pull-em-apart brawl. I think the best part of this segment, honestly, what was one of Punk's lines where he's like, just because you put on Elton John's glasses doesn't mean you're Elton John. Just because you put on a pair of boots doesn't make you CM Punk. I just thought that was a really good line. Guys, that's the only thing memorable from the whole word salad that they were both saying to one another. And that's it. I wish I could tell you more. I wish I could tell you there was more in my notes. I wish I could just remember more. But you know what? No, I don't wish that, because then I would have to spend another second on this garbage. That's not creativity. You had all of this time. You want amplified truth? I want you to think about this. You had all of this time while you had Seth Rollins and CM Punk on the shelf, not injured or anything, but separated from each other on the shelf. Each doing their own thing, right? Punk involved with the Drew, Seth doing whatever third wheel things they had him doing. You had all of this time that you were hoping they were leading to something really huge, story-wise, right? Hunter was truly finally going to cook, or at least learn how to cook. And after all of this time, that's what they had last week. CM Punk gets escorted out to the backstage, and Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins have the actual segment. And then this week, they just have them fight and pull them apart in a brawl. That's creative. That's how low the bar is for a lot of fans, and they're willing to accept. They're willing to go. I don't know what the problem is, basically. I mean, love you, dude, but I disagree, man. I thought it was fine. Yeah, that's for BC. That would be the issue, man. Good for you. If you liked it, like I said, much love and respect. That's your prerogative. But I didn't start this channel to talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. I could sit here for hours and hours every day. I don't have the time to do that, but I could easily do it with the gift to gab and all the stuff I could easily tell you I liked and I don't like. We could easily do that. I don't even care about what I like and don't like. It's about what is working and what is not, because the mission statement is to make this better. This is not the best creative you should have for Rollins and Punk after all of this time. And you know I'm right, guys. Even if you don't want to believe that, if you think about the words I just spoke, you know I am correct. That could have been a lot better, should have been a lot better. This is one of those feuds that should have one of those memorable type of stories, where there are several things you can go, damn, do you remember when they did that and that, like Stone Cold going over the bridge? I'm not saying they need to take it to that level, but when The Rock was chucking Stone Cold, those type of moments. What's the moments? Are they going to pull them apart again next week on the tape show? You guys know I'm right, man. I'm just spewing honesty. We don't have to try to be negative or nitpick on this show. Unfortunately, they give us enough material to do such, and it sucks because we want it to be better. If you follow this channel for any length of time, you know how into Punk and Rollins I was, and I still want to be, but I need them to meet us halfway and just help us get invested into it. Come on, man. The last 2 weeks was weak AF, and the matchup is coming up now in a few weeks. I'm starting to say they're dropping the ball, man. They took this absolute fire and they put it out instantly. They just hosed it down for no reason. That was your first segment. And then hour number 1 ended basically with Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser. Breaker defeats Ludwig with a spear pinfall. There was some barking during the match for Braun and then some golf claps after the win. But most of the arena sat throughout the match and was seated for the finish. They just were. Go back and watch. Throughout the match, most people were just kind of seated going, there's nobody to cheer for, right? And then the barking catches on, right? So people start to bark a little bit. Then they're like, all right, we have to clap for somebody. Ludwig is definitely not somebody. Let's clap for Braun. So some people started, and then when he won, some people got up and golf clapped. And they made it a point to show that several times, right? They took camera B through D, and they had shots of fans clapping, right? They do that when they want to portray somebody as a face. But if you look at those shots, there's more people seated, not giving a fuck. So once Braun won, they had the camera picking up the fans who were golf clapping, and it led BC to ask, and I put this in my notes, what the fuck is a Braun? What is a Braun Breaker? Like what did they do to Braun, man? You guys know I'm just speaking honestly. They had this dude attack Jey Uso, then a week later shake his hand, so he's a diabolical heel, but now did he turn face? He shook Jay's hand. They didn't get the reaction they wanted, so the next week they had him attack Jey Uso again, so then he turned heel again, I guess. Or did he ever even turn face? This is Hunter's booking. This is what actually happened, guys. So then he attacked Jey Uso after shaking his hand the week earlier, regained the IC championship as a heel, and now quietly, is he a face? Because he said, "Where's the dogs at?" And he pandered to the crowd and they barked, and then he took on a heel Ludwig, so now he becomes a face? I mean, they tried that with Damage Control, right? They were heels. Sonya's group showed up as a heel faction as well, and they beat up the heels, Damage Control, and the next week they tried to parade Damage Control as faces. But what made them turn face? Because they got out-heeled? That's so weird. Back in the day, you knew when somebody turned face, right? Virgil would take the championship, the $1 million championship, and he decked $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase upside his dome piece. You knew Virgil just turned face. That's just an example, a fun example. But you knew when people turned, right? If somebody was turning heel, you knew it, right? Shawn was taking Marty Jannetty, super kicking him and sending him through the barbershop window. These days, people just turn because Hunter Hearst Helmsley threw baloney at the wall and it landed on a name and he's got to take on another heel. So he's like, you know what? Work face tonight. Are you sure? But I was a heel the last 3 months. Yeah, no. Just turn face because I'm not going to switch the match. The baloney landed on you and Ludwig. It's heel versus heel. Just ask where the doggies are at. All right? Maybe they'll bark at you. Gunther, I know, man. Just go out there and do your thing with another heel, Bronson. Go out there with Cody and Randy. Shake their hand afterwards, man. I don't know. You'll get some cheers, maybe. But I'm a heel. Heel face. It's Hunter's booking. You know my booking. It's random. Raw is random. I don't know what Braun Breaker is. I want to support the dude like I did when he was NXT before they totally botched him. Kept him there a year too long where he went on a losing streak. Then they put him with Baron Corbin in some stupid tag team thing. We saw how that worked out, right? They immediately broke him up, brought Braun up, kicked Baron Corbin out of the company. That was a weird year. There was no reason for him to stay down there a year to go on a losing streak and go into a weird tag team with Baron Corbin. But before that weird year, man, I was into Braun. I wanted to be when he got to the main roster. I don't know what he's doing. The booking is so detrimental, it's affecting Braun in a negative way. And you're seeing that. The response is all over the place. This isn't fun. It's not like half the crowd chanting, "Let's go Cena," and the other half going, "Cena sucks." This is a confused crowd. People standing up, clapping, looking around. You saw it last night. They're looking around like, why is everybody else not standing up? And everyone else is like, dude, because there's nothing interesting. It's Ludwig and Braun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Hunter hasn't even figured it out yet. So we're not going to look like idiots. But you can see it, man. People are clapping, looking around like, why are we the only... What's going on over here? Stand up, guys. It's that level of bad. Just is. It's that level of bad. And that was your hour one. I'm not joking, man. It was Rollins and Punk's weird little pull them apart, and then an even more awkward Braun Breaker Ludwig Kaiser matchup. Done. Filler, and we were into hour number 2. And you're not going to believe what happened at the start of hour 2. Usually the start of an hour, there's a big segment, right? Check this out. So hour 2 starts with a ton of, you know the word of the day, right? Raw is randomness. Hour 2 starts with a bunch of randomness. Check this out. We have Adam Pearce announcing Punk and Rollins for Netflix's debut. Then we have Karrion Kross telling Miz backstage that he'll be facing Dexter Lumis next week. Oh man, must see TV. I gotta catch the spoilers. Miz versus Lumis. Then we have Drew Mack going to attack Rollins backstage, but Sami Zayn saves Rollins. So he gets in the way, and Drew and Sami Zayn have a thing. Yeah, think about it. They want you to forget about it, but we just saw the payoff on Saturday night's main event. Drew defeated Sami clean with a Claymore. Nobody really even needed to see that match. I was live during that event, and I told you guys that was the match where, like, why is that even on Saturday night's main event? Nobody needs to see another match with Sami and Drew. They faced each other 1,000 times in the past, and now it's at Saturday night's main event. But okay, Drew has a clean victory. And what did they do last night? They acted like nothing happened. They just have Drew and Sammy back at it, and I'm hearing that they're going to have a match coming up. Probably was on the spoiler edition for next week. But if it's not on next week's show, there's going to be another match with Sammy and Drew. Now, you can sit there and try to defend Triple H and say, he's cooking. It's long-term storytelling, to which BC would absolutely water down that false narrative and deliver back. I would volley back the actual truth. Hunter has nothing planned for them, so he falls back on redundancy and rematches. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm not saying it to hear myself talk. I'm saying it because it's factual information that I'm volleying to you. What you do with that info, that's your prerogative. I hear you. But I'm hoping you take that and go, damn, BC's actually right, dude. There's a lot of redundancy, a lot of rematches, a lot of randomness in a Hunter Hearst show. Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre are continuing this weird little thing they have for the 19th time since they've been in the company. And we just saw the payoff Saturday night. That's not the payoff, BC. It's long-term story. Yes, I love when all of my stories have a bunch of matches between the same people, and then we put it under the category of storyline. And we give Hunter all the credit. What a storyline he's giving us. So McIntyre and Sami Zayn have this weird little thing. You had Chad Gable revisiting Alpha Academy, right? The American maid comes across Alpha Academy, and Chad Gable sets up a match next week with Tozawa. Where was this months ago, man? You already had your chance to have that big payoff when Chad Gable and Otis were doing their split. You decided to have Otis do a weak push on Chad, and then you had Chad Gable and American Made go with the Wyatts and do that story. And now, months later, you think this has the same passion, has the same feeling? Is this the long-term storytelling that we were told about? This is Hunter's genius? Let's come back to it 3 months later? Come on, bro. Ain't nobody trying to see a Chad Gable-Tozawa match. And then a Chad Gable versus, who's the other one? Otis. Oh, it's just Otis, right? Because then there's Maxine. So this is just to get what? Months later, Chad Gable and Otis, and we're supposed to care about it like when they were splitting up and H botched it. That was so random. Chad Gable just comes across Otis out of nowhere. Months after their feud should have been lightning white hot. I try to tell you, just random thing after random thing after random thing to start the second hour. And then Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan have a face-to-face promo where Rhea informs Liv she is now the number one contender. The only thing of interest to come out of this was Rhea calling Liv a chicken tender SL, yes, asterisk T. A chicken tender rhymes with mutt, but starts with S. The tube will not like me saying it, trust me. So, we don't want to get in even more. They already look at it as too controversial. That's why I appreciate the ups. Smashing that like, guys, helping out the algorithm, because the tube already thinks we're not the greatest thing for their platform. Because we're too honest. A chicken tender... yeah, it was pretty funny, actually. And then there's this weird thing with like a zero and a line through it. I caught it like last second. A lot of fans believe it's something for Penta, who was taken off the AEW roster page last week. Penta obviously is WWE bound. So Penta, everybody's all, Penta. I like Penta. I think he has a look that's better suited for WWE. But with Hunter's booking and with WWE's current state, I don't know if there's anything to get too excited about. You're adding another person to the roster, man. It's already bloated. There's already so much talent that has to sit at catering and or gets horrible booking. And now you're adding another dude. I keep the same energy for AEW when I hear that they're going to sign Matt Cardona to a long contract. I like Matt Cardona. What are you going to do with him? And what about all the other wrestlers that don't get the time of day in that company? Matt Cardona is going to sink the ship even more. It's going to weigh down the ship, and eventually the ship will shunk. The ship will sink. I like sip will shunk as well. I can speak more coffee, PC. The sip will shunk if Cardona jumps on board. Well, guess what? We don't want the sip to shunk if Penta jumps on board. I gotta say it correctly or I'll start saying it that way. We don't want the ship to sink. We don't want the ship to sink if Penta jumps on board. But we want our ducks in a row. It's not saying we don't want Penta there, but damn, I just wish they knew what they were doing with the talents that they have. But instead, more. Instead of getting your tag team division in place and your ducks in a row, we add more. Let's bring in Motor City and throw titles on them. Dude, how about just establish the teams you have now in the division that you should have? Your mid-card is just in turmoil. Adding more people is not going to help. And on top of that, Hunter's booking. Let's be honest. Can we be bluntly, to the most amplified of measures, honest like we always are on this channel? Let's be. Let's talk amplified honesty. How do you think Hunter is going to book Penta? Do you think he's going to be involved with the LDF and the LWO? Do you think he's going to be tag teaming with Rey Mysterio all the time? Yeah. Not a lot of fun. Now, I'm sure if you want wrestling action, BC, Rey Mysterio, and Penta. All right, maybe a time or two. But guys, how is that super exciting? We get it. They're going to... Rey is, what, close to 50 maybe? I don't know Rey Mysterio's definitely deep 40s, correct? I would think. He's been around forever. Penta is going to be 40 in 2 months. February. 40. I'm not saying that's old per se, but in wrestling, especially when you accumulated a few injuries like Penta has recently, if you think you're getting Penta of 20 years ago, that's not happening. If you think you're getting Mysterio from 20 years ago, that's not happening. So you're going to see some suicide dives, some flips and some dives. And I'm supposed to go on these reviews and go, what a match! 10 stars! I want the booking to be there, man. I want the storylines to be ignited and capture our attention and our interest. So if you're going to do something with Penta, awesome. I don't see that happening. I see him doing how did he book Andrade, guys? How does he book Santos Escobar, guys? So now add the guy with the mask and tell me how this goes. 1 month after he debuts. Let's see. It's straight up. It's what I mean, man. I'm just going by history repeating itself and it not changing. That's how we know how Penta will be booked. But he'll give you wrestling action. He'll make you ooh and ah, but nothing like what he used to be able to do. So I can just watch old material then. Listen, I like Penta. Like I said, he's better suited for WWE, but everyone getting so excited and thinking this is going to save WWE or make it better. All right. And then another talent has to sit at catering, don't forget, that we were probably going, damn, are they ever going to get airtime? It's a ripple effect. If everybody was being booked correctly and everything was hunky-dory, all right, hey, bring in a new guy. Yay, Penta. But if you expect me to just be all excited about this, no, because I see how everything is going and I already see how he's going to be booked. And you don't have to believe it now. But a month after he debuts, come back to the channel and go, oh, by the way, BC, you were right, dude. I know. You don't even gotta bother saying that. Just join the convo in a positive way that helps create better change for this company. That's all I would ask. When you find out I'm correct about all this stuff, just join the cause, man, and let's make this better by being honest. So that was the start of hour 2, just randomness. And then we go into Zoey Stark defeating Raquel Rodriguez and Kaden Carter in a triple threat IC women's title tourney match. Zoey pins Carter. And if you listened carefully, you heard it, right? If you listened after Zoey won that match, you heard it, guys. You know what it was. You heard the sound of silence. Not the song. You just literally heard silence. You might have heard a cricket or two outside of the arena, right? Trying to get in, maybe. Trying to get some kernels of popcorn from the concession stand that Seth Rollins maybe have dropped. Zoey Stark. Of course we want the best for Zoey Stark. We want the best for all these boys and gals. But you can't just pluck her out of nowhere and he wins that. There's nothing afterward. There's no like story. There's no reason to be like, oh, did you see what happened with Zoey? She won the thing and then that happened. Nothing. Zoey wins. She's celebrating like she won the Super Bowl. Going up the ramp and the fans in attendance are like, was that it? That's just Zoey? Okay. Fans at home are like, wow, man, Monday Night Raw is riveting. This is the best era ever. Did you guys see Zoey? And then the next segment, we're really going, this is the best era ever, right? Butch comes across R-Truth. And Butch is still pissed off because R-Truth is calling him Butch still. Guys, you just saw the payoff last week, remember? Butch lost clean via roll-up. It was clean, right? The fans were calling him Butch, so he got irritated, and then he got rolled up. That's clean. The fans didn't interfere. So R-Truth rolls him up, and that's the payoff. But no, it's not. No, it's not. This is Hunter cooking with his storyline. It's long-term storytelling in the form of rematches. So you're going to get Butch and R-Truth again and again and again going forward. You thought it was thankfully done last week? Nope. There was Butch. And if you're telling me it's like a fun like progression, right? Like the story is heating up every week. Okay, they had a match and they're going to have a rematch. But because the story is elevating, no harm, no foul. I'm cool with that. But because they wrestle and then there is nothing ignites afterwards. Like last week, I'll give you guys a perfect example. There was some fans that were like, BC, just let it play out because even though Wyatt's lost, even though they already had the payoff and they already did the match between the Wyatts and Final Testament, and even though Uncle Howdy lost, horribly by the way, with baby powder to the eyes, even though, just, you got to believe that Hunter has a bigger vision and there's a good storyline. Just wait till next week. You're going to see why this happened, BC, right? Just let it play out. I knew that was not the case, but I said, okay, just give it a week. Let's see. And what did they have? I just told you guys, the only thing between the Wyatts and Final Testament last night, the only thing was Karrion Kross telling Miz that he's going to face Dexter Lumis one-on-one next week. That didn't elevate nothing. That doesn't avenge Uncle Howdy and the Wyatts looking like geeks last week with baby powder by their side. And instead, now we're just going back to one-on-one. We just saw the actual crews, the actual factions face off last week. And now we're just going to a bunch of single matches. It's almost like we're going backwards. If that's a fun storyline for you, cool. Honestly, I'm not even going to rip you for it. But it doesn't make it good. That's for damn sure. Same thing with this. You saw Butch and you saw R-Truth. You saw Butch get pinned clean by R-Truth. And then the next week, what elevated awesome storytelling are we getting? If they're going to continue it, we're having Butch still upset at R-Truth. Stop calling me Butch. That was the segment. I'm not sugarcoating this, man, just so I can try to sprinkle some positivity onto it. There's nothing of substance positively to talk about. That's how bad this was. And this is HHH's booking. Just do the same thing every single week. We'll have a bunch of matches. And the fans will just jump on the doohickey machine and say, I'm cooking. I told you, man, we drop an amplified truth today. I mean, this is one of those... We don't just sit around on cruise control. We're not on autopilot waiting for WrestleMania. If that's okay with you, that's not... I mean, you have Hunter Hearst Helmsley parading around there, calling himself Chief Creative Officer. He's an officer of creativity. His mug is on everything. He wants you to know it's his era. So, okay, this is unacceptable booking. This is unacceptable creative. It's the opposite of creative. The main event was the same exact match from a month ago, by the way. The Vikings versus Judgment Day, Balor and McDonald's. So they got their name back, my bad. So they're the War Raiders. They're the Viking War Raiders. And they're taking on Balor and McDonald's, a rematch from just last month. This time for the championships. Maybe that was as well a month ago. I don't even care. Damian Priest interferes, kind of. He won't let Balor take the steel chair that he wanted to use at the finish. But because of that, the Raiders pin Finn Balor with a horrible finisher to become new tag team champions. I mean, this finish, when you have seen the matches that Balor has had and what he's been able to kick out of, if you guys saw this finish, and I forgot what they even call it. What is it? Something machine? I don't even know. They've done it for a while, obviously, but maybe it just looked really bad. I don't know, man, but Ivar is just... I don't know if he's just too big to do this anymore, but he launches himself, springboards himself off of that second rope into a clothesline. He barely got launched, and the clothesline was so weak. You would have thought like Hornswoggle was trying to clothesline the Big Show. It was so bad, and Balor had to lay there for the 3 count. And that was your new champions. They didn't even show a crowd shot because nobody cared. They didn't show a crowd shot at all. They just went to the shot where you see the entranceway and there was some pyro. So some pyro went off, and then we just cut right off the show. Hard cut, too. Not a fade to black, just a hard cut, because they were running out of time. It was just so bad. And I'm supposed to go, man, did you see the new tag team? I'm so happy for Viking Raiders. The War Raiders, basically. Well, what excitement do you think I have? I'm so tired of these these tag team title matches especially, always being on Raw and SmackDown, never being on the PLEs, the pay-per-views, never being on the special shows. So we have to watch all of these title changes. A lot of them are in the middle of the show, mind you. And then on top of that, it's just one new set of champions all the time. DIY gets it for 28 days, then they lose it. And they lost it to the bootleg bloodline just so they can make Solo look strong, right? Look at his henchmen. They have the title. So DIY holds it for 28 days, then the bootleg bloodline get them. And then when they're done with that whole Solo thing, the bootleg bloodline loses them, right? Motor City comes out of nowhere and wins the titles. They just get to the roster and they win the titles. And then they hold it for about 41 to 42 days, and then DIY somehow gets the titles back in the middle of the show, mind you. Over on Raw, it's not much better. All of this time with the Judgment Day holding them, not a memorable title reign. They barely defended them, held it for months, and then afterwards, it's just on a Monday Night Raw. A team that just came back a month ago, had about 2 to 3 matches maybe. They were here for a cup of coffee. They got their old name back. And instead of building them properly to get us to a point where we care about them in a title match, especially winning the titles, instead they just thrusted them in a title match, had them win the match and the titles, and then just ended the show because they ran out of time. And I'm supposed to come here the next morning and go, what a moment! The War Raiders are title holders! So we can try to reinvent black and gold, I'm guessing, right? We're going to try to revisit something from a decade ago. Let's have DIY with the tag titles. War Raiders over on Raw, right? Maybe we'll change the Raw logo to black and gold. Maybe we'll call WWE RAW NXT. Black and gold. Maybe that'll make Hunter feel better. If you think this is best for business in 24-25, I'm okay with War Raiders getting tag titles, but why not put creativity into it, man? They just got back. Make people care about them. Throwing championships is not the way to do it, and he just found that lesson out with Motor City. They thought, hey, man, we're going to make a big splash, put the rocket on you instantly, we're going to give you tag titles. Motor City got less of a response after they won the titles. Those were like anchors that were weighing them down. They took the titles immediately off of them. They said that didn't work. So now Raiders, they're doing the same thing. You think this is going to put them over the top or make a division? No. It just is random. It's randomness. You can tell it is not well thought out. This is not the fun type of chaos and the fun type of randomness, the fun type of spontaneity, right? At any moment, anything can happen. Like DIY could win titles and so can War Raiders. BC, you gotta watch the shows. Anything can happen. Champions can be changed at any time. I know, that's the problem. There's been like between Raw's and SmackDown's tag titles, do you guys know that there's been like 10 changes this year? That averages out. That's like every if you were to average it out a little over a month, there's new champions nonstop. Can you see why subconsciously that's not fun anymore for the audience? When you know it's like clockwork, like a lady will tell you, like your girl will tell you, it's that time of the month, right? And that tells the dude, I'm just gonna go play in traffic real quick because you know it's that time of the month. You want nothing to do with that. You could basically set your clocks to new tag team champions in WWE. It's that time of the month. Now, Judgment Day held them a lot longer than what's been going down on SmackDown, but there was no title reign. They were barely defending them. So they were just holding them. And the big payoff was for the end of a random Monday Night Raw and a random tag team like War Raiders just wins it without being built up properly. You guys know I'm right. I don't even have to explain why I am not all freaking just spitting out roses about this segment and this new tag team champions that were crowned last night. I'm just not. I am all about the creativity and how we do things. And that is what we're getting. And that's the problem. We're getting this all the time. The pull them apart brawls, the random title changes, the random matchups, heel versus heel, face versus face, heels shaking hands with faces. All of this is becoming too much. Hunter Hearst Helmsley's WWE is becoming so nonsensical, so confusing, so random, so stupid. Somebody has to be covering this show. It cannot be Hunter. Hunter is too happy with being the face of the company. He wants the spotlight on him. He wants to be front and center on the kickoff shows, on all the promotional. He wants to do Are You Ready on all the recordings. He wants to be part of storylines like shoving Kevin Owens after what he did with Cody. That's what Hunter really wants to be. He wants to have the spotlight. So let him be a character. Let him be a GM. Let him have a big office role with the company. Let him be president of the company if he wants to be. Cool. But not chief creative officer. He's just not good at it. BC, what about the Bloodline storyline for 2 years plus? Well, first of all, that was Vincent Kennedy's creation, and Paul Heyman oversaw it. To this very day, Paul Heyman oversees it. BC, what about Punk and Drew? That was a good story. No, it wasn't. They just made it something special. Look at the storyline. There was none. They just brawled all the time. But Punk and Drew brought it to life. The only thing you remember out of that is like a bracelet. For a month, they were talking about a bracelet. That's it. There was nothing over the top. You could say he was cooking. There was nothing being cooked. Punk and Drew were just that good together. Magic. I want to give props where it's due. I need to see where the props are due. I mean, these shows cannot happen. And if you're wondering, again, yes, it was a tape show next week. Oh, boy. Yeah, another soulless, lifeless, pulseless show next week. Monday Night Raw, completely taped from Boston last night. Holidays, BC. Wants to give everybody holidays. No, this is a business move. They've been doing tape shows since October. There's no holidays in October. What, Halloween? You need Halloween off? It's business. Raw went back to USA and they cut the third hour, so they knew they could tape 2 shows now, right? 2 hours a show, 4 hours. A crowd will stay for 4. They won't stay for 6. That third hour being cut allowed them to do 2-hour show tapings. It started in October. This has nothing to do with Hunter wants people to be home for the holidays. If that's the case, he wouldn't have the holiday tour the day after Christmas. Let everybody relax. Let the eggnog and all the food from Christmas, let it digest the next day. No. He's got them that night and the early morning the next morning, right out on the road, ready for the holiday tour. It's business. That's what I got for you guys, man. Man, was I amped up. I hope you guys were too, man. This is not cutting it. And thankfully, you guys have a place to come that is going to call it out because it needs to be. I will not BS you. That is my word to you guys, man. So I salute you guys big time. Channel members, next level appreciation. Gold, diamond, And now we've already had our first coffee club members, our coffee carters, man. And it looks badass to my coffee club as well. So all channel members. Dude, that's what I got for you. Until next time, and there will be that next time. 44 Dive. That's a wrap. Salut.